Hi guys, I'm Rebecca DeGroot and we are back in my shop. So yesterday I started on a couple different things, started planing down some wood and then cut it all down on the bandsaw, got it stacked up into piles, but you haven't seen that yet, so let me show you how it went. I've got my planed wood over there. It's all stacked up, ready to be cut down into the size that I need. And what I'm really doing is just trying to make squares out of the pieces so that I can stack them up, laminate them, and make them into some turning blanks for my next project. I really want to get started on this. I have a couple of the pieces cut shorter so that they can actually fit between the bandsaw and the drill press that's next to it. So we are going to get started cutting these things down to size. So here we go, let me adjust. I'm trying to avoid some very, very direct light. What I also did was took some time and resurfaced my tabletop on my bandsaw. This probably isn't helping that I'm touching it all over the place, but what are you gonna do? Not good. Not good, not good. And not as good as it looked when it came out of the box. But it's still pretty nice. So what I need to do is get myself to a point that I can cut these into a square. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it so that the width of the board is right in between the fence and the blade. That way when I turn it to make a cross cut, I'm making something relatively close to a square. Eye protection is a must. Power is also a must. I need that. Now, as some of you may already know, there is a reason that I've got some interesting lighting in here today. I can't just close my garage door and not let the natural sunlight in. I love the natural sunlight, and that's really what I'm limited to today because all of my fluorescent bulbs went out at one point when I was running my planer and my dust collection system last night. Though you may think that the reason for that is because I had too many things running, but the only things that went out were the lights. The dust collection system and the planer kept on running, so I had to fumble around in the dark away from those machines until I found my phone, which was videotaping the whole process, and then get my flashlight and turn off all my still running machines in the dark. It's kind of scary. Also, my lantern isn't where I left it, so we had to borrow it over the weekend for Renfest. So that's what I was dealing with. Anyways, let's get started. One more thing before we start. Really good idea is to lower the guard so that it's just higher than where you need it, because any extra exposed blade is never a good thing. So lower that guard, lock it back in, and then get started. Now, I do not own any push sticks. That's probably something that I'm going to want to invest in pretty soon, or just make one. I'm sure I'll just make one. Okay, so from one board I got 5 different pieces of wood. I'll laminate those together, probably in sequence, and get them going into my first turning blank. I'm probably going to want one or maybe two more before I get to a point where it's thick enough that I like it, but one of the pieces might end up being a sacrifice, so I might use just a cheaper wood that I'm not going to want included in the final piece. So we'll see. Cutting down all of the wood. I've got some extra in my shelf, but I really need as much as I can get because I'm making at least 8 or 9 bowl blanks, and if I need to cut more and plane more down, I will, but I'm trying to get as much as I can out of this, and if I get more than I need, then I'll have a spare, and I like to have spares, especially if I'm making a series of the same things or at least similar things. That way, if I screw one of them up, which is very likely because I'm trying to make them all relatively consistent, if one of them comes flying off the lathe and is demolished to a point where maybe I can salvage a little bit of it, it's not going to be good enough for the project that I'm working on. So, we'll see. That's why it's good to have spares. Rather late in the process, I am thinking about how wonderful the wood smells and taking into consideration that by smelling the wood, I am also breathing the wood, and I should probably be wearing some sort of a dust mask, which I have, and I don't know why I'm not wearing one. So let me go grab one of those while I cut my last board. This comes in handy when you want to be able to breathe for the rest of your life. Now, let me take you back over to my tower. I can organize these things into stacks of however many I'm actually going to be laminating together and then glue them up. So, let's see if I need to actually cut any more. What I want is for there to be a relatively large dome, a large enough dome for me to be able to fit things inside of it. And I still haven't really explained what it is that I'm doing, but you'll see. But I don't think I want it that tall. I think maybe this height would be good enough because I also don't want the wood dragging on the floor. I want it to float above. Again, you probably have no idea what it is that I'm talking about, so we'll get to that later. Let's just see how many we have if I stack 7 of them at a time. I need at least 8. So, I'm sure our math geniuses out there can figure this out quicker than I can just by counting them. But, who cares? I have 7 stacks. And I have extra wood, so let me go cut that down real quick and I'll be right back. Got 8 stacks, I've got a gallon of glue. I think I can live with that. I think I can live with that. So, maybe I should do one more so that I have extra. I did not end up making a spare piece, but I did end up starting to glue them up. So I will show you that process a little bit later. But to see more progress and to see more videos of what it is that I do in my shop or some of the pieces that come out of my shop, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Facebook, and I will keep you as updated as I can. Bye guys!